So, Peg, if you have one word to describe Thursday night football, what would that be?
Brutal, Pat. Absolutely brutal. Not only on the East Coast did I have to stay up till like 11:30 and then I couldn't fall asleep because I was so angry. I had to get up and be in my classroom by 7:30. And then add insult to injury, not only was the outcome brutal, but the rash of injuries that we suffered. It was like the line to the blue tent was longer than the line to Walmart on Black Friday.
Coming to you from the great Southwest and Central New York, a brother and sister from the same mother and mister, Patrick Newell and Peg Newell, your hosts of Bill's Bloodline.
And then that blue tent was so full, we had an injury to the referee, Adrian L. Hope he's okay. He's out for like 4 weeks, I think, on the IR, and he was carted off last night too. He couldn't finish the game, so like a lot of the Bills players. So anyway, hey, we're Bill's Bloodline. I'm Pat Newell, and next to me is my sister Peg. If you like what you see and hear here today, consider subscribing, commenting, sharing, and you can also follow us on Spotify or on Instagram at Bills_Bloodline. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks, Pat. We made our debut on Apple Music too. So yeah, it's great. So we'll be uploading a few more podcasts there.
We're old and we're figuring out the social media thing, folks.
Yeah. Be patient with us. Remember when Dad used to like, how do I turn this VCR on? And now that's us. We're like, Dad, press play. But at any rate, welcome everybody. So we have a new segment, relatively new on Bill's Bloodline, and boy, was the Bills' loss yesterday a nice primer for Pat's take for this week's 2-minute drill, where we just rant about what's bothering us this week. So here is the 2-minute drill.
3, 2, 1, 0.
So I had a plethora to choose from after yesterday, but my number one thing that irritates me is probably in the minds and hearts of most Bills Mafia as the most disliked play. Can we please stop calling that stupid bubble screen? Joe Brady, please stop calling it, especially to Khalil Shakir. So when you took over in 2023, I had never seen a bubble screen. Then all of a sudden, we're seeing these passes thrown out to Stefon Diggs, our best receiver, and they hardly ever worked. Stefon Diggs was out there dancing around gaining 2 yards. Meanwhile, you could be used on pass plays to actually gain first downs. Then last year, Khalil Shakir became our go-to bubble screen guy, and I will admit he has busted a few for good gains. And earlier this year, he did have a long touchdown run, but he broke like 7 tackles and made 5 guys miss. They're falling all over the place. It's not a play that works. When you have a bubble screen called 5 times a game and it works once, doing my math, it works 20% of the time. Stop calling the play. Call something else. The bubble screen does not work.
You are listening to Bill's Bloodline.
Emphatic on that one, Pat. Absolutely not. Yeah.
Irritated.
Yes.
I am fired up for this one.
He's fired up. It's Gruden time. We've talked about this, Pat. I absolutely hate that play. So this is a great time to just get into it. Let's recap a pretty painful loss for the Bills. So I'll start with, again, just kind of riffing off of what you said. That bubble screen is predictable. It is as predictable as breathing, as the sun coming up. People know it. They read it. Of course, Shakir's out there doing it, but every once in a while they try to put more or somebody else out there. It's snuffed out every single time. And so Brady, you got to be less vanilla and predictable.
We had one that worked. Like I said, 1 out of 5 in my rant earlier. We got Ty Johnson out there. He gained like 13 yards. So, woohoo! It reminded me of Peg. one of our football coaches back in high school, I'm not going to, say his name, rest in peace, former coach, he would have a play that would work. Say he called a counter. It would work once, gain 10 yards. He called again, like maybe a few plays later. It would work, okay. And then he called it 5 more times. They would all not work and get blown up. And it was about the 5th or 6th time after it didn't work where he decided, maybe I should call something else. So Joe Brady, call something else. That play's not working.
It's awful. And, I could go on and on and on about plays I didn't like. We start off with sort of like a false hope play with that James Cook breaking one for a touchdown. That first series in the first quarter was amazing. And, I had high hopes. I'm like, this is going to be a game where, I'm going to go to bed. I'm actually going to fall asleep, get up and go to work really early in the morning to teach. And it just, after that, it was pretty much all downhill. Do you have any positives, Pat? Like what, if anything, can we take from this, or what else is bothering you about this game, or what we could have executed better or thought about differently on defense or offense?
Well, even that touchdown, we can't have good things because Prater missed the extra point, and that extra point proved critical. We lost by 4 points. We make that extra point. All those drives in the second half where we got in the field goal range and we either didn't score or maybe we just kicked that one field goal. We would have had a field goal try to tie the game at the end of the game, force overtime in a game that we had no business winning whatsoever. So we hung around in a game where we really were outplayed. Offensively, my biggest disappointment, and I talked to you about this, by text, is the lack of a good plan for pass protection. And it was almost to the point of arrogance where we're going to block with our 5 against your 4. And we expect to win that one. Well, early on, it was pretty clear that they were winning that battle up front. So I listened to some experts and some of the similar feelings that came out of that, like, how come you're not chipping? How come you're not holding a tight end? And well, the thing is we want to throw as many guys into the pass pattern, so it gives Josh Allen options. However, it's at the expense of him getting flattened on his face. So from that perspective, that's the big downer. The big positive was the excellent defensive performance in the second half. They were really gutty. We had so many guys that are hurt. Bernard was in a sling at the end of the game. We already have it. It's recounted so much. All the other guys that are out, we're playing like guys that are qualifying for almost AARP out there. We have Poyer's 34. We have Trey White, who's in his early 30s. We have Shaq Thompson, who pulled off the scrap heap in his early 30s. And those guys are integral parts of our defense at this point. So to give up only 3 points, and that was due to a turnover, the entire second half after getting shredded in the first half, that was a gutty effort by the defense. But the offense, very disappointed, Peg. What do you think?
Indeed. Yeah, Pat, I'm with you. I'm on the same page always in Bills and in life. So in the final 30 minutes, that defense really, really redeemed themselves. The Texans only managed 2 first downs, 60 yards and 3 points, and they were 2 for 12 on third down. And so the defense that we were really, really worried about really stepped up. Coming into the season, it was the defense we were worried about, but they were able to pull it together. And I'm just flummoxed as to what is going wrong this year on offense. And the only thing that I can come back to is that Brady's play calling, I know again from listening to experts, he's really focused on efficiency. Well, efficiency isn't working when it's so predictable and you're just throwing these little screens, these bubble screens, right? I'm going to get t-shirts made up for Bills Mafia about the bubble screen. So, please like and subscribe and I can hook you up with a t-shirt.
A Bills bubble screen with the Ghostbusters line through it.
Exactly. That's it. That is exactly it. But instead of the head of the ghost, it would be Joe Brady, and who am I? Who are we? We're just such passionate fans. And Pat and I talked about this. We will always be fans no matter what. This is a wild ride, Bills Mafia. We love our Bills. And I think when you really, really love something, you don't set it free. You're able to be critical of it because you want the best from them.
I think our nephew said it best a couple podcasts ago that we hate how much we love our team.
Yes, CJ. Yeah, shout out CJ. Yeah,
CJ,
absolutely.
The voice, the golden tones.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know what, Peg, I don't know how you feel about this, but it almost seems like the Joe Brady offense this year is let's run it back. You can't run it back because teams adapt and adjust. You have to evolve your offense. And I'm not seeing an evolution in a positive way. Instead of being efficient and conservative and turnover free, we're inefficient and turnover laden this year. We've had how many games in a row have we had 2 or 3 turnovers? It's getting out of hand here.
Several. And Josh has regressed. The silly bonehead plays and, throwing like the push pass in the last game. Of course, I don't want to blame him for the tipped pass. I mean, that's part of it. That's really unlucky. That can happen. I can forgive that one as opposed to, throwing it, into double coverage or something or a tight window. That could happen. He's running for his life, but it seems like Josh Allen from his rookie year, first 2 years. And what can we attribute that to is I think it comes back to Brady and play calling. Jerry Ostrovsky used the term that he's playing like he's neutered. He is. He's sort of playing like a guy who's got this level of like double football consciousness where he's always kind of, instead of just playing with feel and joy, he's thinking too much about what he's doing.
Putting up a good face in press conferences, but did you hear that he was, people read his lips. He said something to the effect that, what are we doing?
Yep.
And that was after that last play where he threw an interception. He's never going to throw anybody under the bus because that's how he is. He will take all the blame all the time, and he always does in the press conferences. But something is percolating underneath there that he is. I know he's irritated.
Absolutely.
I would think I would ever see something where he would be caught on camera saying something like that or being caught, mouthing words that would disparage the Buffalo image in any way. That was almost shocking to me because I didn't see that. I didn't see him mouthing those words. I was just like, it's over. It's done. I didn't want to see him kneel down. So that was over. What do you think about that? It's almost starting to break him.
Yes, I think it is. He's the face of the organization. I actually thought it could be much worse. When you look at, Brady on the sideline or any great quarterback. And for Josh, it's almost like that pressure is there. Like he needs to let it out. I think he should let it out and send that message. I think it could have been worse. He could have cursed. He sat next to Cook and he was like, what are we doing? I'm really surprised he didn't drop an F-bomb or do something else because I would have for sure. I think changes are afoot. I think something's going to happen. And Spencer Brown is hurt. Dawkins is hurt. Hairston with a concussion. It's just the list goes on and on.
The turnstile through that blue tent early on. Josh Allen went in there. James Cook went in there. Deion Dawkins went in there. Maxwell Hairston went in there. Terrell Bernard went in there. Spencer Brown went in there. I think Connor McGovern did at some point, but not positive. But there was at least 6 or 7 guys that were in and out of that tent. And then most of them got released, but some of them didn't, obviously. So, the injuries are getting kind of ridiculous. And I know every team has injuries, but, when you have a Thursday game, you barely recover from the previous game. We're making a long trip to Houston. It's our longest trip of the year. We're not a healthy team. We're not a rested team. We're not a confident team right now. We seemed a little, I've heard it all day long, inconsistent team.
Yeah.
You can't count on anything other than counting on them not being consistent.
Yeah. Well, this seems like a good time to look ahead to our next segment, which is going to be Family Rapid Fire. What is Family Rapid Fire? I'm going to ask a family member, in this case, Pat, 5 questions. He has to answer as quickly as possible in 1 word. Are you ready, Pat, to play Family Rapid Fire? All right. Well, here we go.
Family Rapid Fire.
Who is the greatest Buffalo Bill of all time?
Josh Allen. That's 2 words.
That's okay. What meal did Mom make when we were kids that you never want to eat again?
Lasagna.
Okay. Sorry, Mom. If you could replace Sean McDermott with another coach right now, who would it be?
Sean McVay.
Okay. Why did you knock out my front teeth with a baseball when I was 3 years old?
Plead the 5th.
Plead the 5th. Good answer. Will the Buffalo Bills make it past the wild card round this year?
Yes.
All right. Thanks for playing, Pat.
That was the hardest one.
Excuse me. Thanks for playing, Pat.
Of course.
Oh, yeah.
Talk about the good news first before we get to the bad news.
Okay. Okay.
We have enough bad news. We need to balance that. So the good news coming out of last week, Josh Allen was named Player of the Week in the AFC, the Offensive Player of the Week he's number 17. This is the 17th time he was named Player of the Week. So congrats to Josh Allen based off that 6 TD performance against Tampa Bay. And I do want to make one clarification from last week's podcast. I did say he was the only person to have done 3 TDs and 3 passing and receiving in the same game. He was for a regular season game, but I was reminded all week because it was said all week on different shows. In 1954, Otto Graham for the Cleveland Browns threw for 3, passed for 3 in a 56-10 1954 conference win over the Detroit Lions. So he's not the only person to ever do it, but he's the only person to ever have done it in a regular season game. And there's been over 18,000 regular season games. He's done it twice. The rest of the field, 0.
Wow. Wow. Amazing. Thank you. Pat's like the stat god. The stat god.
Peg, thoughts on Khalil Shakir? He was out of practice a couple days this week.
Yeah, Khalil Shakir. Great news for Khalil Shakir and his wife, Sailor. They welcomed their first child, a baby girl. Great news. It helps to remind us that this is just a game after all. Bills Mafia is a family. We're tight. We're so, so happy for him. What a great joy. It makes us almost forget his fumble.
Well,
but no, it's just a game.
He did have a monster 44-yard play that moved us down into field goal territory, and he was part of maybe the coolest play ever, which means absolutely nothing now. That little pitch with Josh Palmer that gained a bunch of yards. He had a big game yesterday. Unfortunate they had that fumble. Yeah. But yeah, congrats to Khalil, Sailor, and their daughter Summer Haven. So that was the good news. Stuff. And the only other news of real note was the deactivation of Keon Coleman again. It was 4 days after being deactivated against Tampa Bay for discipline. And this one, I'm not sure why. Do you have any insight on why maybe they did it, or maybe just the continuity, just because he didn't play last week?
I'm going to reserve weighing in on it. I do read all the message boards and people, the rumor mill is churning, but I'm going to go with kind of Occam's razor here, where the simplest answer is sometimes the right answer. I think they were trying to tap into that vibe, that success they had last week with the receiving core, and wanted to see if it could carry over into this next game. But and so they kept him on the bench. We'll see this week if he's put back in. I think with some of the injuries, we might see him. Maybe this is a chance for him to prove himself and get out there and play hard and play well and play for the team and not himself.
Yeah, and the Steelers might be a better matchup. They don't have this incredible defense like Houston. Their corners, Lassiter and Stingley Jr. are probably 2 of the best corners in the NFL. They have a great safety. Their defensive ends are amazing. Their linebackers are great. Yeah, I hope he's back. He's our 2nd-round draft pick last year, our first pick of the draft that year.
Right.
Yeah, see if it's going to work. Right. It wasn't a good matchup last week against Houston. Maybe Pittsburgh will be a better fit, especially with the abundance of injuries.
Speaking of injuries, Rodgers is going to be back. He practiced today. He's got a wrist injury he's dealing with. I'm sure, Bills Mafia, you're aware of that. Pat, you're aware of that. But he was back on the field practicing, and he looked pretty good today. So we expect to see Aaron Rodgers, and I think anytime you play against a future Hall of Famer, he's not the Aaron Rodgers from 10, 15 years ago, but he's still a hell of a football player, and very, very smart football player. I don't think he's going to do things to hurt his team. We've got to be on our toes, especially with all of our injuries, but I'm hoping that we get the W.
Yeah, one of the things that concerns me about Pittsburgh is not so much their offense, is actually I'm more concerned about their defense. Their defense, while it's not like top 10 in the league, they are extremely opportunistic, and we are extremely giving when it comes to turnovers this year. We are giving the ball away at probably the highest pace, maybe since Josh's rookie year. So, they create a lot of turnovers, and we're actually making a lot of turnovers. So we've had 3 turnovers, I think, in 4 games this year. And I don't know if we had 3 turnovers in any game last year. So that concerns me most. How are we going to be able to protect the ball? They're not an explosive offense. They're a good offense, but they're not an explosive offense. Obviously, like you said, Rodgers is still a threat with his mind and with his arm. So we'll see what happens. They have a good running back. They have DK Metcalf. They signed this year to he was a free agent signing. So, they have possibilities of scoring, but, we just got to stop turning it over.
And I think this game against the Steelers is critical, Pat. What are you hearing about Brandon Beane, McDermott, this particular crew that's been around for 9 years now through our franchise quarterback's ascension to greatness? What are you hearing?
There are whispers now. I wasn't hearing much. Now people are starting to question this regime with the Beane McDermott regime. Can they get us over the hump? Is Brady's job in jeopardy? He was the toast of the town after Buffalo's last year's efficient season. The historic low number of turnovers, the historic high number of points the Bills scored last year, doing more with less. He obviously Allen didn't have his best, complement of players in terms of offensive skill players, but they still produced 30 points a game. And now this year, is Brady, I don't think Brady's going to get any looks. He may not even have a job next year for the Bills. So, there's there's whispers now. It's definitely out there. That's Beane and the Beane and McDermott connection. Is this their last year? Yeah. I don't know. They just won their 100th game together a couple of weeks ago. So, I'm not one to just make rash decisions, but if the Bills, for some reason, don't make the playoffs this year, I don't see them returning.
No. Yeah, definitely not. So with that, are we ready to go to our final thoughts and shout-outs for this week?
Yeah, my final thought, and I don't have a specific charity to shout out this week, but my final thought is we're through 11 games this year. 2 years ago, we were 6-6 and 2 or 3 games behind Miami. We didn't know if we would make the playoffs. So we were in a worse state 2 years ago than we are now, although it seems to look worse this year. So it's 7-4. It's not over, folks. We have 6 games to play. Let's go out and win against Pittsburgh and get ourselves back on track.
Yeah, Pat, I like that. And I'm going to riff off of what you said and what I said in my 2-minute drill in our last podcast on episode 4. I'm not a fair weather fan. The Bills are a huge part of my identity. I have so many aspects of my identity. And one of them is that I always love an underdog. No matter what I'm watching, if my Bills aren't playing football, I'm always rooting for the underdog. They've been in this situation before. Are they going to make it to the Super Bowl? I'm not sure. I care, but it's not. It's what they've given to us. It's what our family, our community, Central New York, Western New York, the world. Pat's daughter was in Japan on her honeymoon, and she saw people in Bills gear there. I mean, their appeal is international. And Pat goes to Bills bars out in Albuquerque to catch games. It's about loving our Buffalo Bills. We are not fair weather fans. We're going to root for them no matter what, and we're going to hopefully come back stronger from this. That's my hope and final thought for this week.
So, Peck, I didn't know if you had anything else you wanted to shout out, or do you want to kind of wrap up this week?
This week, it seems fitting that Khalil Shakir is a new father, and I want to shout out the Shakir Family Foundation. He and the foundation are passionate advocates for animal welfare. They're committed to creating a world where every animal is treated with love and care. So if you go to the Shakir Family Foundation, shakirfamilyfoundation.org, you can find out ways to contribute, donate. Again, that's the shakirfamilyfoundation.org. You can also find them and follow them on Instagram, which, speaking of, you can find us on Instagram, on Twitter. You can email us at billsbloodline@gmail.com. Send us your questions, comments. If you want to come on the pod and share your origin story, we would love to have you. Just reach out.
Let's move on. We have a mini bye. We don't have to record for like 10 days. We can kind of process this loss and then move forward. The good thing is it's like a golfer. You have to forget your last shot if it was a bad one. Reset your mind. Quarterback like Josh Allen throws an interception. Next pass could be a touchdown. So next week could be a touchdown for us Bills fans. From our family to the Bills Mafia family. Stay loud, stay proud, and we'll see you here next week after the Bills game against Pittsburgh.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.